News Talk 1340 KROC-AM 54 downtown. I'm Andy Brownell, Rochester Today, with the Legal Eagle, David Schulman, who is putting on an especially energetic dance because Tracy McCray.
Tracy, right?
I got that right away. I figured that out right away. I think she was looking the other way at the time, so it was for naught.
It embarrassed her. She's seen those moves before.
Exactly. All right.
Much later night in a different district. Never mind.
282-1234 is the number for the Legal Eagle Show on KROC-AM. Give us a call if you have a question for David, all the way up to about 11 o'clock. And as always, we spend the hour talking about legal issues, whatever your legal issues might be. And there's always something that I'm going to get to this right away, David, because it seems to me that we keep forgetting and we don't get to one topic.
Let's do it.
What is that topic? It was dealing with, see, I should have wrote it down.
I'm sure I did write it down. I'll have to look it up in my notes. But the interesting part about what I'm seeing is here in the city of Rochester. I was told this morning in a meeting for those of persons who need to have a little blood drawn from time to time, talking to the people here, as they draw the blood out, your brain starts to function a little faster, a little quicker. You're a little sharper there for just a minute. No pun intended with a needle. But the circumstance was such that they were talking about how this new program that's coming, it's going to just turn Rochester into a new city. And there were some folks over at the clinic who have worked there for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
That are very concerned. They're very concerned. They want to make sure that it follows an orderly process, that we don't lose sight of the fact that one of the things that brought many of us to Rochester initially was the large town availability of talent and resources, but the small town and connected atmosphere. And these folks over there who've been around the clinic, who see people coming in and going out, are very concerned that that's going to be lost. Now, one of the programs says in my contract on the backside in small print, "Thou shalt not discuss your personal opinions. We don't care about them."
Is that right?
Well,
I must have ripped that up a while ago.
Something like that. And then there's an interlineation. Actually, it's an underlining that says, "And make sure you stick to the legal issue." So I have to be very careful as I say that. But
I misplaced that contract, so I don't think I can enforce it.
Well, it's important to know that many of us who've been here for 50 years or longer, if we weren't even born in the area, have chosen this place. It's like being an adopted child. One of the things that adopted children are told sometime during the early years that they can begin to understand where they came from, because everybody asks, where did I come from, Mommy? Where did I come from, Daddy? What's going on here? And somebody says I was adopted, and then they get all crushed and crazy. And then the parent usually says, well, you were chosen. We didn't just get you because you were given to us as a child. We chose you. That's how important you are. Well, this is the important part about Rochester.
I am heartened to hear that is a sentiment held by folks in the big building over here, or at least some of them, because, as you pointed out, we have a highly transient population locally. And there are those who are here long-term, and there are those who come and go. And those who come and go may not recognize some of what you're talking about. And to me, if you look at the success of the Mayo Clinic, of course it is due to the expertise of the medical personnel who fill the hallways and the offices of those big buildings downtown. But part of it is also, and this is the little magic part of it, that people can come to this community to get that care and not have to deal with the issues that they would have to deal with in a metropolis as they receive that care. You have situations where a man like George Harrison can come to the city of Rochester to receive treatment for his cancer and walk the streets and shop downtown without being hassled. Because the people who live here and have lived here, for a long time, the shop owners, even the people walking the streets, we know it's George Harrison. But we also know that, hey, we're not going to hassle the guy, or at least make it minimal if we do. And that, I think that applies across the board. I think a lot of us feel that is part of our responsibility of living here.
It is our responsibility for living here. And it's true that we do get the notoriety
But even the regular folk who come here, too. The idea is we try to treat them like they're supposed to be here.
I rode up and down on the elevator several times with none other than Billy Graham.
Sure.
And everybody in the elevator, they get in, there's mostly a double take. I mean,
oh, yeah.
If you're really clever about it, you can flip your eyes up without anybody noticing you're looking. And there was Billy Graham, as they say, big as life, and he is a tall guy. And somebody said in one of my rides, it's funny, I got him on 2 rides, one's up and one's down in the elevator. That was kind of strange, but that's the way it worked out. And the ride going down, somebody turned and said, before Graham got off, you're Billy Graham, aren't you? And he said in that wonderful voice of his, yes, ma'am, I am. And he didn't ride down in that special elevator they got in the back room, which they do have for those who are the VIPs that come in sometimes through the side door or the back door. And they get special treatment of getting in earlier. They get in unannounced. They're not getting in any earlier than anybody else. They just get in unannounced. And, the notoriety doesn't.
Things are.
Graham had no problem with that. But nobody hassled him. Nobody said, can I have your autograph?
Right.
Would you sign my shirt? Here's my Bible. I want you to sign the first page of it or something. It was marvelous to see. Even the people who are clinic regulars, in other words, those who attend the clinic as a patient, not workers, treated the person with respect and gave him the distance that he needs.
Well, he's here for a reason, and it's not to be signing autographs.
That's true.
Well, Jim Neighbors was another one.
Yes.
Because he was, at the time, he was the big deal. And he would be coming here on a very regular basis. And he was a guy that would walk the streets. It was not uncommon to run into Jim Neighbors. I did several times myself because it seemed like he was here all the time. And, he afforded himself that luxury of being able to go out into a community and just be himself and not have to deal with the hassles of celebrity. And I think that's just one facet. But you're right. I think people should be concerned that we could lose that. And I'm glad that there are people thinking that way within the halls of the Mayo Clinic, that has something that it needs to be protected.
And I hope that it will be. But the important part is I met some people over there that I've seen. I'll just give the first name. One of the nurses over there who did the blood draw that I had this morning, her name is Mary Ellen. I won't tell you the last name, but she's just she's marvelous. There's a whole cadre of people over there that are marvelous. And I hope we're not losing many of those, although it's beginning to drift towards me.
Well,
that it's coming that way. But anyway,
part of it,
that's it.
We might as well. The Post-Bulletin did an article about this weekend, and the numbers that they obtained through some internal memo, where the 2,000 people are going to take the early retirement because of the change in their benefit plans. I have heard scuttlebutt that the number is much larger than that. That there's significantly more folks who are going to be affording themselves of the early retirement package, and some of them are going to wait till the last minute to notify their supervisors for whatever reason. But that's kind of the rumor mill on the street working its way through, and already a fairly acute shortage of hands could grow very, very severe very quickly if that is the case. And so, we've talked about. I don't know if I've talked about this about you, but the common thread through a lot of these people who work in that building are young women who grew up in rural households throughout southeastern Minnesota, who went to nursing school or went to whatever school to get whatever skill they needed, and then come to work at the Mayo Clinic, and many of them still living in those rural communities or on the farm, and come here. And part of the big thing to come here was that being on the farm or whatever job in the rural community they had, the benefits didn't exist. So you came here and you put in your 35-plus years with a promise that you would have this lifelong benefit of health coverage and pension and this and that for your family. And they worked hard, and they provided the backbone of the Mayo Clinic. And so a lot of those folks are looking at this change in benefits as, well, wait a minute. That's not the reason I spent 30-plus years working here. I'm gonna get out while the getting's good.
And that's true. And
that's unfortunate.
That is unfortunate. And some of these people are feeling brokenhearted over the fact that they feel that a broken promise has occurred here. And without getting into the issue of that, I only urge those, and this brings us over to the legal side of our discussion, is to find out exactly what your benefits are. There's a section over at Mayo Clinic for employees. There's a little pecking order there, who gets how much help on this, but make sure that you talk to human resources and understand fully if you have to write it out to them so they understand what you're saying, then you know you got it explained to you correctly. But if somebody blows you off and doesn't want to tell you, or that just makes you feel like you're stupid, or as I always refer to it as a box of rocks, asking questions, insist on this. There is no such thing as a stupid question.
Right. If you don't understand it, you better continue asking until you do.
Absolutely. And be within your rights to do so. And you don't have to get rude. You don't have to get mad. But make sure when you leave human resources, it's not just with a pamphlet that you can't read and understand, because Lord knows those things are just written in a language that even lawyers can struggle over. So, I'm just urging folks to if they hear this from you, and I hope they're hearing it from me, please make sure you understand what it is you're getting and what it is you're not getting, because health care is going to be a large part of everybody's costs.
All right, David Schulman, the Legal Eagle, 282-1234 is the number. We have to take a quick break. It's already 21 past 10 o'clock on a Monday morning. Back in just a moment on KROC-AM. 24 minutes past 10 o'clock. I'm Andy Brownell with Rochester Today and the Legal Eagle. David Schulman in the studio. 282-1234 is our number. And, David, we do have a caller. Good morning. You're on KROC with the Legal Eagle.
Good morning.
Morning.
I got a quick question. Well, I don't know how quick it's going to be, but
all right, go ahead.
I've got he used to be a family member. He's not anymore. He's married to my mother, but now he's not. He has stroke. His family is asking if somebody in our family, preferably me, I'm guessing, if I can be, I believe it's called power of attorney, to deal with finances and things. Is that correct?
Yes, and that is the correct term.
Is if we agree to that, is there issues? He doesn't have a lot of money. He doesn't have any money, as a matter of fact. Is there issues, or is there things that we can get caught up in that affects our finances, or that we will be responsible for if we take this on?
Now, this person for whom you would be acting as a power of attorney, you said something about that they were with your family, and now they're no longer with your family. Does that mean that this person was married to a relative of yours?
Yeah, my mother. Yep.
Okay, so this person married your mother, and now they're divorced?
Correct.
Okay. And is there something that is, does he have some illness or some disability of some kind?
He had a stroke here a short time ago.
Okay. Beyond the stroke, is it limited his ability to function in terms
no,
of...
up until that point, no.
Okay. Does he, in your opinion, have all of his faculties? Meaning, does he know where he's at? Is he oriented as to time and place and people?
Yes.
Okay. Then he can grant to you a power of attorney. Now, a power of attorney in this situation would be he would be wise in limiting the power of attorney to just dealing with whatever it is he wants you specifically to deal with. Okay. For example, the operation of a farm, or the ownership of real estate, or the managing of funds by paying his bills and collecting any money that's due him. And you would then have to make an account, or he can require in the power of attorney that you make an accounting to somebody, not necessarily the court. You don't want to go to court and have a guardianship appointed or a conservatorship appointed at this point, particularly since there's no money involved, essentially. Is that correct? Okay. You don't want to do that?
No.
Okay. Who was it that was going to prepare this power of attorney for you?
Well, I don't. It was brought up by his sister, and I haven't talked to her.
Why would not a member of his immediate family act in that capacity?
I don't know. I have to talk to his sister, because for some reason she doesn't want to do it, and I don't know why. So I have to find out why she doesn't want to do it.
Okay. Well, I think when you
is it more difficult if you're out of state to be a POA?
Yes.
Okay.
And some states require that you be a resident of the state of Minnesota so that you're what they call amenable to court service in case there's some litigation that develops over this. And I don't know that there would be, but in case something like that, they want to have what they call jurisdictional control over the person. If you're out of state, the local court can write all the court orders it wants, but once you're over that state line, that court does not, unless it gets itself fastened to the local court where you happen to be residing, they have no power whatsoever.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Oh, well, we'll talk about that.
Okay, so usually, and Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, please. Usually these situations, what you have is a situation where perhaps somebody you're a bit concerned they're not going to pay their bills on time, or you want somebody there to make sure that the rent's paid and the electric bill's paid and that things are kept up to date, because it gives you the authority to write checks on their account.
Okay, and he's just incapable at this time of doing that. Is that correct?
Well,
he could do it, but he would need help, and that's one of the things that you'd be providing.
He can do it. I'm not so sure he was doing it in the past.
Oh,
okay.
So I'm wondering if there isn't, I don't know. I just want to know if we do that and we get involved in it, is there any legal obligation on our end if he doesn't have the money or whatever? They can't come back on me.
Oh, sure.
And go after my assets in my bank account.
Okay, but make sure that when you sign any check or any document on behalf of this person or to further this person's interest, that when you sign it, you make sure that you put a little initial underneath, POA, which is power of attorney.
Okay.
It's like when you when you own a corporation, it's a business of some kind that you're running here. When you write checks out of the corporate account, you make sure you write the checks under your corporate name, as president or whatever you are. You do not sign it as an individual. People will come running after you to try and come get the money. So you're only operating on the basis of the power of attorney that exists for this guy's benefit. That's it.
Okay. That's what I wanted to know.
You should have no problem.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks for the call.
All right, you bet. Bye-bye.
It's already 10:30. It's 55 in the downtown. We're going to take our news break and be back with more of the Legal Eagle. David Schulman on KROC-AM. Kim David's in the news center. He is up next. Newstalk 1340 KROC-AM. Good morning. I'm Andy Brownell, along with the Legal Eagle, David Schulman, who is not dancing, who is over there hunched over a book doing research as we speak. This is unusual. I'm used to you dancing right now.
Tracy came through just then, and she came by and gave me that special Tracy look. Only ladies can do,
Yeah, I'm certainly happy that that's the case.
Guys are out there listening. It's going to be sounding a little bit one-sided.
You be careful here.
I will.
We do have a caller, David, so I'm going to have to get you out of your law library for a second here. 282-1234 is our number. Good morning. You're on with the Legal Eagle.
Good morning.
Morning.
Say, I'd like to talk about bankruptcy.
All right.
I called and talked a couple weeks ago to you, or a month ago, and you asked me to send you a letter, and I couldn't. My question is, I have a girlfriend who went and filed bankruptcy for the second time in whatever amount of time, and then she changed her mind, and she had given the attorney $1,200, I believe is what it was, and she's wondering how long of a process before she could get her money back, if she can still get it back. And this is even the same attorney that did it for her the first time. Shouldn't he have known that she had to wait an X amount of time to file for a second bankruptcy?
I see.
Yeah, but it's within the 6-year period? I mean,
I'm guessing. I guess she has to go. I'm catching bits and pieces, but I guess it's got to be 7 years before you can refile again.
So what you're saying is that she had the bankruptcy originally and then decided to try to pursue it again, and the lawyer took the $1,200, but...
Well, no. She, about whatever years ago it would have been, just prior to me meeting her, she filed for a bankruptcy and got it okayed and was back to scratch zero. And then as time went on, she accumulated a lot of debt. I'll use 4 letters out of the alphabet, and you'll know what I mean. QVC, HSN. And I'm really dreading this cable thing coming back. But anyways...
Nine channels of pure buying power.
It might be better than the casino.
No, actually, you got a chance to win something.
Okay, I gotcha.
But anyways, so then when she went and filed to refile again, or to file again for her second time, he went through all the process, told her what she had to do, all this, was how much it was going to be. So he got her the money. She got him the money and everything. And then he calls her back, I don't know, a month or so later and says, you can't, you've got to wait until this amount of time because there wasn't enough time in between from the first one. And now it's been about a year and a half because she's been afraid to call this guy and ask him for the money back or anything. Is she due the money back, or has time expired?
Well, time has nothing to do with it here. Let's start from the sort of beginning here. When she was a client of this attorney at an earlier occasion, he apparently took her through the bankruptcy proceedings, and she She finished her bankruptcy. I assume it was a Chapter 7, and that was whatever it was.
Right.
So now she has. I think it's 6 years, but she becomes a very creditworthy person. Interestingly enough, the creditors know that she cannot file bankruptcy for a while, so she becomes an object of their affection because they want to start loaning her money because she can't discharge the debt.
Right.
I mean, it's some kind of weird reasoning, but that's the way they do it.
understand.
Okay, so now she's accumulated more debt on this famous channels, and she now wants to file. She goes back to the same lawyer who filed for her prior, and he takes a retainer from her that he requires, but he doesn't have to file it because he can't.
Right.
So she now says, okay, then if I can't do it, give me the money back, because certainly finding the legal research necessary to tell her that she is not timely filing shouldn't cost her $1,000.
Right.
So you're saying, how do you get the dough back?
Well, she's
entitled to
money
her
back.
She's, of course, but it depends upon. Well, let me just say this. I will say this. Check to see if she signed a retainer agreement or of some kind, or she got some kind of what they call an engagement letter. It's kind of a crazy way to call it, but that's what lawyers call it out east. It's a retainer agreement. It means that you will do these things for your client, and the client will provide these other things for the lawyer. And sometimes they have what they call the evergreen retainer, where the retainer keeps getting built up every month, because you run out of retainer. You're using it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But she should be she should determine, and you may help her with this, what, if anything, has she signed? If she has signed nothing, she should certainly write the lawyer a letter, make sure he gets it. We may have to hand deliver it.
Right.
And request a return and refund of the unused portion of her retainer, which she will say in her letter, I believe to be the full amount, as no fees were charged for filing because there was no filing permitted.
Right.
That no costs were involved in filing because no filing was permitted. And that when the time arrives that I can refile this bankruptcy in a timely manner, and a manner consistent with the rules and law of bankruptcy, I intend at this time, she can say, to hire you again. But I need the funds right now, and I do not want them resting safe and secure in your trust account on my behalf. Is that eloquently enough said?
And he pulled it right out of his head, too. That was the best thing about it.
Hey, you deadbeat, give me my damn money back.
Okay. I guess, now I have another question for you on this same subject with this gentleman. When she first started doing all this stuff, she was telling me that I needed to give her my finances and all this because, and nobody could tell me why. And I kept saying, I'm not the one filing bankruptcy. That's none of his business.
Who wants your finances?
Well, this attorney wanted it because I guess you got to have household. We were living together when she went and filed for it.
But you two were not married.
Correct.
Okay. Well, you were sharing a premises.
Correct. And I kept fighting it, going, it's not your business. Well, then one day I come home and there was this message on my machine for her, but of course, who knew that until it got started. And this guy was really ripping into me, calling me, well, we'll just say F and A were some words, along with being a jerk. And
this was the attorney?
Yes, this was the attorney. And I got very upset. I let a few of my friends listen to this, and now I wished I would have saved it, but like I say, this is cruising in on 2 years now, so year and a half, whatever. But without that tape thing, is there any repercussions I can come back on this guy?
You know what? I would let that run ride.
Okay.
You're going to have other fish you're going to have to be putting in the smolder.
Okay.
So
life is too short to take that fight up.
But I mean, it was just the fact when he called up. I mean, I just
no.
It would certainly impact my decision on whether I'd hire him again. That's for darn sure.
Absolutely. So, okay.
I hope this is of help and aid to you now, and make sure it gets taken to this lady. And by all means, I know this. People say, "Why do you tell people this?" But I'm going to tell you anyway. Make sure you keep copies of everything that you send out, and you retain copies of everything that you take in, and just open up a file folder, label it whatever you want, but so you can find it again, and toss the stuff in the file folder.
Yeah.
Trust me again. I hope you will. That's always a lawyer's favorite phrase. The palest ink is better than the sharpest memory, so have those copies.
Okay, yeah, and I'm pretty good about that, so I can definitely try and pass that on to her. So, okay, well, you've been very helpful. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks for calling in.
You bet.
Let us know.
I shall. Thank you. Bye.
He had called in previously, or called me after a couple months ago, did a show, but he knew he couldn't be available for the last show we did, so I'm glad he was able to call in and get his question.
Your listeners are just, everybody asks a bright question, and some people say, gee, I don't want to ask that. He's going to think I'm dumber than a box of rocks. Not true around here. That's one thing we don't do.
Okay, we went into the break, and we were talking about civil litigation, and that was specifically dealing with a power of attorney from somebody out of state. And you said this is something I wasn't completely aware of, apparently, but if you are involved in civil litigation, this is outside of the criminal courts.
Correct.
If you're in another state, it's going to be pretty hard to deal with whatever so you're saying you're going to basically have to travel to whatever state this person is.
That's correct. Many times, unless you've got a federal court question, which is got a jurisdictional amount, which was $50,000. I think it's $100,000 now. Plus, you have to have diversity of citizenship, meaning they have to have a bunch of people not from the same state as you're involved in suit. Then you can get into federal court. And federal court has jurisdiction that's a whole lot broader than the state court does, because it allows the federal court to cross state lines with impunity, even in civil cases. You can get all kinds of subpoenas out, a lot of good stuff that you can't get in a local court.
Reach a certain level that's not that easy to attain.
Yeah, it's the question involved, the money involved. In other words, the federal courts say we're not going to take anything that isn't really important.
We're too darn busy for that.
Yeah, well, I got my own comment about that one, and I won't say it. However, that's the way it is. And the reason this came up, folks, if you're listening to this conversation and saying, what are they talking about, is a comment was made in the studio while we were between on the breaks. What kind of jurisdiction does a judge and a court have over you if you're living in Minnesota and you got a problem going on in Iowa or Wisconsin someplace? The answer is Iowa and Wisconsin courts, at least through the civil process, cannot reach you. They have no control over you. They can't grab your house or grab your car or take possession. They can issue all kinds of writs and court orders and everything else, but once it goes beyond the state line of whatever state they are in, that's where it's limited. So they can't take a court order from a Wisconsin judge and come over to Minnesota that says, pick up Andy's car.
Yeah.
We're retrieving Andy's car. Now, there may be another way to do that under the repossession laws, but it would be in the state of Minnesota, not in the state of Wisconsin. So the person in Minnesota who is being sought by the people in Wisconsin better keep an eye out if there's some orders that come out. Because what will happen is the Wisconsin people will come over to Minnesota, go to a Minnesota court where you live, and get a judge in that community to issue the order that you get out of Wisconsin. And that's called comity. Not comedy, but comity. C-O-M-I-T-Y.
Is that
word freaks.
Is that a difficult thing to obtain?
No.
It's just costly.
Yes, it's costly because there's a lot of paperwork that you got to put together, and you got to have people do a few things. And once the lawyers start putting paperwork together and doing a few things, the bills start to run up. And that's just, that's the way it goes.
Right.
But I want you folks to understand that a court order, if somebody brandishes a court order on you and says, you got to do this, and Wisconsin right here says you're going to go to jail and be in the public stocks for the next 6 months or whatever it's going to be, makes no never mind. As long as you don't go in the state of Wisconsin.
Right. Don't go to any Green Bay games.
That's right. You can stick your tongue out on them from the Minnesota side, and you don't have to deal with the Wisconsin courts. That's the important thing.
All right. We have another caller, David, for the Legal Eagle. Good morning. You're on KROC.
Yes. I had a few years ago, or a couple of years ago now, I refinanced. And I had a Visa or a credit card bill. I don't know for sure which one it was now, but we called them. I and the loan officer and her all talked together, and we asked her, this gal, if she would settle for a little bit less than what I owed if I paid it off, the Visa bill. Anyway, they said they would, and I think it was like $700 less. And so we went ahead and sent the money, and paid it off. But now when I check on my credit report, I still got this $700 that is on my credit report. I've never got a bill for it, but I still get this on my on my credit ref or whatever you want to call it.
Does it say that you are in?
Still in debt with that $700.
But does it say it's in collection or anything like that? Is it a bad debt? Is I guess what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what it was, but I just checked on my credit report, and there's still this $700 against me.
Okay, but, what you should do, what you need to do, and it's like throwing a rock down a very deep well and waiting for somebody down there when you say hello. See, the rock answers you back.
Yeah,
this is what you got to do. Write the letter to the credit card. I mean, to the credit agency, whether it's Equifax or whatever they are. There's 3 of them that collect for the whole world.
Yeah.
Write the letter to whomever it is that's carrying this notice that you picked up on your credit report, and saying this is an error. This bill was satisfied and paid pursuant to agreement. That's all you got to say. This bill was satisfied and paid pursuant to agreement. Put the date that you paid the bill down. And if you got a copy of the check or marked paid or whatever you got, you can send them
I got a copy of that. Yeah.
Okay, so you can send them a copy of that too and send it off.
Yeah.
Just send it off.
We did record the message too, so.
Was somebody calling you up?
When you settled the debt.
We settled it. There was the 3 of us. We had a 3-way call.
Yep.
And she said, I'm going to record this, and the gal said, that's fine.
So you send off the letter, and you make sure you keep a copy of it.
Absolutely.
Because I know you're going to say it. That's why I took care of it.
Thank you, Andy. Yes, that's exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Let
Thanks
us know.
a lot for your call.
Yep.
Okay, so
that's terrific.
he does this, and he waits, a lengthy period of time, because you're right, it takes forever, and checks back, and it hasn't been addressed. Then what? Can you go after the credit agency?
He writes to the credit agency again, and this time a copy to the Attorney General's Office, Consumer Affairs, St. Paul, Minnesota. And they will go after these people, at least they'll start them.
Should I wait a year?
No, I wouldn't wait a year. I'd wait 6 months.
6 months, okay.
6 months. 180 days go by.
All right.
But if you have a problem, you go to the Consumer Division of the Attorney General's Office, St. Paul, Minnesota. They will give you help.
And I know this particular Attorney General has been pretty darn aggressive on this consumer affairs stuff.
That's correct. And they should be.
282-1234. Good morning. You're on with the Legal Eagle.
Good morning. How are you guys this morning?
Wonderful. Thanks for calling in.
Okay, I have a very simple question here. A number of years ago, I took out a credit card with a $500 maximum on it. And can it stay that way, and nobody can get in that account for more than $500?
Let's talk about this for a second. I think there's a confusion of terms here. When you got a credit card given to you, or you applied for it and they gave it to you, they gave you a maximum that you could charge on the credit card of $500. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So now you want to go and charge more than $500 now, or what is it that you want to do?
I want to know if that's the way it's going to be if somebody gets into my account.
Oh, you want to see? Well, number one, you would, if it's fraud or theft, you would not be liable for any amount that would be charged.
Okay, that's pretty much my question. If somebody gets into my account and gets my account number and they go write out money for more than $500, I'm only responsible for the $500.
No, you're not even responsible for $500. You're responsible for $0.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that answers it. Have a good day.
I like it when a question I can actually answer.
That's well answered. That's exactly right. There used to be if you didn't get it to the credit card company soon enough or get them some notice of some kind, you would be liable up to $50. That's gone.
Right.
There's nothing. You're entitled. They can't get anything. So they go down to, let's say they go down to Bob Church's place down here at whatever the jeweler, Lasker Jewelers.
Okay.
And Robert's got some great stuff down there. You want to go down there and get some great pieces of jewelry? They go down there and they charge and they buy the small brooch diamond or something, and it's $10,000 on your card. And you get this bill and you say, hey, wait a minute, this is not mine. I don't know what's going on here, but I didn't buy that brooch. The credit card company looks around for the people that they hope they can find. But you have no liability.
Okay, so in other words, the $500 limit is adequate then.
No, but you don't have
Don't
even
worry
the
about it.
$500. Keep
Don't worry
in
about
mind,
Okay,
that $500 limit we're talking about is their limit given to you to charge. What they're saying essentially is, we give you the right to charge up to $500. After that, you're beyond limit.
If something shows up in your credit card statement and you did not make that purchase, you immediately inform that credit card that you did not make that purchase, and
Okay.
they need to take that charge off your account.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Thank you very much. Have a
All
nice
right.
day.
Thanks a lot for your call.
That's great.
You know, these darn credit they made a deal with the devil. This easy credit business
Yep.
where they send out billions of credit cards and they give them to almost anybody. They can give them to your cat, for crying out loud.
It's true.
And then they have people rack up this debt, and it's bad debt, and they have made that a cost of their business. This whole business of fraud, they're willing to accept $6 billion in fraud every month or whatever it is as a cost of their business, and until they reform their business, that's the way it's going to be.
I don't think your listeners can see how irate and riled up you're
it's the
getting. I mean,
stupidest way
I
to
can
do
see the color in your face rising to your hairline. You're
Okay,
really
but-
upset.
Well, yeah, because they put it down as a bottom line number. They just go, okay, it's acceptable for us to lose this kind of money. But that doesn't factor in the hassle for the consumer, the hassle for the merchant. The merchant still has to deal with this business. I sold you something, and you didn't buy it because somebody ripped off the insurance or the credit card company. That still reflects on the bottom line of the merchant. You have the consumer who has to get new cards issued and have to clean up a mess and has to deal with all this garbage because of all this cybercrime that's happening. And to the credit card companies who are making buco bucks offering cheap and easy to obtain credit, it's just, we'll write it off this month. I know it's
You're
more
right. No,
serious.
it's the cost of doing business as far as they're concerned.
Right.
Yep, you're absolutely right.
Oh, I hope they fix it soon. Let's put it that way. Yeah, we have to take a quick break. David Schulman, the Legal Eagle. I'm not supposed. I can offer their opinions. That's not in my contract, right?
That's right. I've read your contract, and it's very favorable to that position.
It's 55 in the downtown. KROC-AM, back in just a moment. News Talk 1340, KROC-AM, 3 minutes away from 11 o'clock already. The Legal Eagle, David Schulman in the studio. We got a couple more minutes if somebody wanted to give us a call at 282-1234. Otherwise, David, you've been over there researching continually every chance you get.
Yeah, there was something that I wanted to bring up, and I wanted to make sure I was on top of it, and I didn't get the case that I wanted to get, but I'm going to get it by the next time we get together.
Okay.
But give you this idea, that an indigent mother, in other words, somebody who has no money, indigency, now appears to be able to, under certain states and certain laws, to be able to sue her relatives, her children, for failure to pay her overdue nursing home bills.
Whoa.
Now, we're talking about a long-term care
Which
situation.
is extraordinarily expensive.
That is correct. It's now becoming an issue as to whether or not a person has a financial obligation to take care of the person's long-term care that they were supposedly responsible for because they're a family member. I'm going to find that case.
We're going to talk about that next time.
Scary.
It's interesting
Very
as
scary.
heck is what that is.
Well, you got to start planning your future needs around this long-term care that you may owe. Nobody has that before.
No, I mean, nobody. Well, we're going to talk about that next time we get together because that's a whole show of there, right there. We do have a quick call, David. We'll do
Go
this
ahead.
right before we go to the news. Good morning. You're on KROC with the Legal Eagle.
Yeah, I'd just like to say I like listening to the show. He's very good. I'm not a loyal person to lawyers, but David is probably one of the best. I like listening to him. And I am one of those people that are leaving mail.
Oh, you're on the list.
Yeah, I'm on the list.
Okay. Well, good luck with your early retirement.
Thank you.
All right.
Goodbye.
Thank
Bye.
you for calling. Your listeners are the best, Andy.
Yeah,
I'll tell you.
we do
And
have
they
fantastic
they have
listeners.
questions. And again, folks, don't worry. Somebody said, well, somebody will recognize. You'll mention my name. No names are ever mentioned. Even if we did know them, we wouldn't mention them. You are safe and secure with us as we part the purple curtain.
That's right. And if we're going to stress anything, and there always seems to be this confusion, I'm going to go back to the credit card business. If somebody fraudulently uses your credit card account, whether through theft or just plain old-fashioned fraud, and makes purchases, and this is why you need to carefully look at your credit card statement every single month, do not pay that charge. You contact your credit card company, your bank, and you inform them that was not your charge. It was a result of theft or fraud, and that you will not be paying that because you are not liable for it.
And think about this, buried in the act that was signed back in Clinton's administration that allows a state to sue on your behalf even after you die to collect death benefits.
Okay, we're going to talk more about that. We're out of time. It's 11 o'clock at KROC-AM Rochester.